Perhaps the single most important connection made in catastrophism was made by Fred Hefting, when Fred said to me, "Hey, it appears that there are memristor paddles around Asheville, North Carolina." And this introduction then led to him sharing the idea that perhaps there was even a chaos circuit that encompassed the entire east coast of North America in the south. My ongoing research from there discovered this four-sided circuit created by Professor Leon Chua. Actually, he's an electrical engineer, Dr. Leon Chua. And this four-sided circuit rested on, just the basic principle that there are four fundamental forces in electromagnetism. Those being current, voltage, charge, and flux. And that these different properties of electromagnetism each operated to create the four fundamental functions of electromagnetism, which were resistance, capacitance, memristance, and inductance. When we look at the question of pyramids, not just on Mars, but we look at the question of pyramids on Earth, if there are pyramidal structures anywhere else in the universe, what we're looking at is we're looking at fundamental structures of electromagnetic distribution of energy. And so in this video, not only are we going to talk about the pyramids on Mars, all of which were created in the apocalypse, but that they're not just really pyramids. These are not man-made structures per se, but that the pyramids represent junctions of electromagnetism being distributed in these four cardinal directions. The most important part about this video is that there are no pyramids created by an advanced civilization on Mars. What we see, for example, in this picture here, is we see a structure that was used in the exact same way by the ancient Mayans or Aztecs, whoever created the pyramids of South America. We are looking at the same fundamental electromagnetism being utilized in the pyramids on Earth as nature used it in creation. Don't forget to click that like, share, and subscribe button. Leave me your thoughts in the comments down below. And welcome to Apocalypse 44, the Pyramids of Mars.
Now this is a high contrast image, which will improve in just a moment. This crater is 2.5 miles wide. And as you can see, it has a surrounding ejecta field, everything that was in there that was blown out after impact. What we're going to be focused on today is this structure right next to it, which, believe it or not, is 1.7 miles wide. Now, as you can clearly see, this structure is pretty symmetrical. It's got four sides, and most notably, it's undamaged. Now, NASA gave us a better look at this. They actually photographed this in 2024 with their HiRISE camera. And even with this updated look, the symmetry holds up, and you can clearly tell that it still demonstrates what appears to be four different sides to it. So the question becomes, what the heck is this thing?
I'm glad Brian asked this question, because our first point of exploration is going to be to correct the observation that this pyramidal object is undamaged. When we zoom in closely, we note some very important characteristics, beginning in particular with the perfect triangle, which we can see in the surface, and these two circles to the left and right. In electromagnetism, there is a fundamental structure called a delta. We might otherwise call it a triangle, and the delta ever and always represents the negative grounding function of the circuit, representing resistance. Resistance is the first function in electrical flow. The reason there is a triangle in each of the four quadrants is that each of the chaos circuit segments has a ground as a function of the circuit. Current and voltage formed resistance with the ground. The current that does not get stopped gets stored at right angles, with the memristor acting as the distributor cap. This is the fundamental form of Andrew Hall's keystone pattern. I have outlined several of these triangles on Earth, with my work on the South Pacific island of Rapa Nui being the most obvious example of a delta with its triangular shape formed in the apocalypse. The eastern portion of the island is called Poiki, and it is the neutral point ground in the global electric circuit. It also represents the same function as the front stair of the pyramid in Central America. In fact, all of the islands found in the Pacific Ocean exist within a triangle they call the Polynesian Triangle, and the island of Rapa Nui represents that front stair of the pyramid. And if you really want to see something cool, remember that chaos circuit that I pointed to over the east coast of North America? Attached to the southeast side is the famous Bermuda Triangle. With all the mysterious events that have happened in this area, one might wonder if there is still an active link to the global electric circuit causing these strange disappearances. Mars has one of the largest delta formations that I've ever seen, with Olympus Mons and the 3 volcanoes of the Tarsis Monte. In short, naturally occurring triangles are ubiquitous to the electric universe. So why is there a triangle on this pyramid? This location represented a central node to the global electric discharge during the apocalypse. Now, for the cool part, I want to draw your attention back to these 2 round nodes on each side of the triangle. I've seen these before, and I want to show you how they represent a discharge. In 2022, the Hunga Tonga volcano erupted in the Pacific Ocean. Earlier on that same day, the Earth was hit by a massive solar storm that impacted the Earth right over the Pacific Ocean, triggering the delta Y function of the Earth's circuit, which stored the energy in the crust of the planet. Think of this like a big thumb pressing down on the core of the planet right here. And in doing so, it created a triangle, a delta that was visible in the sky over the Pacific, and more specifically, reactivating the Polynesian Triangle. At sunset, the Earth rotated away from the pressure, and the line of sunset can be seen and is known as the termination zone. First, the termination zone passed over and discharged to the right of the delta at sunset, and then the Hunga Tonga volcano blew as the termination zone passed over the left. Let me loop this a few times. Right, left. When we look at the delta on this side of the structure on Mars, what we see are the 2 discharge sites clearly on the surface. So what about the giant crater next to the structure? Some might call it an impact crater.
This crater is 2.5 miles wide. And as you can see, it has a surrounding ejecta field. Everything that was in there that was blown out after impact.
But the fact is, nothing impacted here. Here's a theory you haven't heard. Electricity has 3 primary states: charge, neutral, and discharge. Charge has both a positive polarity and a negative polarity. Positive polarities have a Lichtenberg structure to them, and a good example of this is the Greenland crater, where you have a central crater with dendritic arms of the Lichtenberg figures moving away. We don't see that with the crater next to the pyramid on Mars. We see a singular, roundish crater. This shape is indicative of a negative discharge, which has this primary head and dendritic arms. The negative discharges are pulled up, as we see, for example, in sprites. What you see here next to the pyramid is the head of a sprite with the tendril arms extending up towards the ionosphere as it discharged. This crater here is an extraction crater caused by a negative discharge. How do we know? Because this corner of the chaos circuit, in the circuit, is where the charge was focused. And when the charge reversed from positive to negative, it triggered a negative discharge up, leaving the crater. Nothing impacted here. An electrical discharge formed this surface shape. It's prediction time again, and I'm going to predict that once again, having fully defined the site electrically, having given ample evidence to the electrical characteristics of the site, there are still going to be people who say, this is evidence of an advanced civilization. It's not. It's evidence of an apocalypse. A story that is far more interesting and far more substantiated than an advanced civilization building a pyramid. The pyramids of Mexico, of South America, all of these sites are simply utilizing the delta structure to create grounded electrical machines. As far as I can tell, most of these were designed to improve crop growth. They were part of an agriculture machine. And I don't know how else to say this, but we need to get over the idea that there was an advanced civilization on Mars. There was an advanced civilization right here on Earth. It didn't sprout up before some mythical ice age. It existed on Earth as part of creation. And the machines broke. And today, we see the remnants of the deltas in our pyramids. Nobody's catastrophism work touches Dr. Stinky McDougall's. Nobody's megalithic work touches Dr. Stinky McDougall's. And nobody should be hitting that subscribe button more than you to catch every single new episode coming up. Don't forget to leave me a comment down below. Peace out.
Another banger of a video and another solid prediction.